Good evening, everyone. For those who don't know me, my name is Dr. Davina Lloyd, and I am the chair of the Cedar People's Tribunal. While we wait for people to join us, coming up to 7 o'clock, um, and I can see that people are joining now, um, I just wanted to say what good news it was out of Greece. If I haven't really watched the news much today, but I'd seen it on social media that a High Court decision has made the Conservative government in Greece um, go go back on its pension cuts 2015 2016. So good news out of Greece that decisions made by the government about pensions can be overturned by the courts. And that's in the news today. And I say that as a 1950s woman myself, that I'm hoping that the same thing will happen here. Of course, the Greek government's not the only one that's done a U turn on this. Other governments across Europe have similarly seen the errors of their ways. I think the interesting thing in Greece is that the court decision was that their um, cuts in 2015 to 2016 were deemed to be illegal. Look it up on social media. Right, I can see that lots of people are joining now. And so, what I'm going to do is make a start on talking to you a little bit about CEDAW and trying to answer some of the many questions that people have asked me from the last recording that I did, and that obviously people need to know the answers to. So, I think we have established that I am Dr. Davina Lloyd and I am the chair of the CEDAW People's Tribunal. Um, and my background is that I didn't know what CEDAW was until 3 years ago. Now, a lot of people have said it's really hard getting over to their friends, their acquaintances, their family. What on earth is CEDAW? And this is a big topic, and I'm not going to be able to answer all of your questions tonight. But what we're trying to do is deal with the questions that you have piece by piece over the next few weeks. And I understand we're in the process of setting up a website where all the information that you need will be easily available. And from last time, I know a lot of you commented that there needs to be education about this. Why don't young people know about this? Why don't they know about the benefits? Well, I consider that I am, and I was 3 years ago, a highly educated woman. And I knew nothing about CEDAW until I was sent by Joanne Welsh as a representative for the Back to 60 movement to Geneva, to the CEDAW committee, to put the case for the pensions for the 1950s women. And then I have to confess that my knowledge of CEDAW relates specifically to my work in that area. Although when I got to Geneva, I met women from all sorts of different groups across the UK who also had issues about equality and discrimination from all walks of life in all sorts of areas. And CEDAW was the answer for their issues as well. And I think that's what I've come back from Geneva with, is that this is the answer to so many women's issues. It is the Convention on the Discrimination of all forms of discrimination against women. In effect, a women's Bill of Rights. And the second thing that people have said to me is, well, we've got an Equality Act, we don't need this. Actually, that's the government's argument. And if that was true, that we don't need it, what were all those women, on my last occasion, 50 different women's groups representing hundreds of thousands, millions of women. What were they all complaining about then? If everything in the garden is so rosy for women, why do we feel we're being discriminated against in every possible way, in every aspect of our life? The Equality Act doesn't give us the substantive, transformative equality that is our right. So, what CEDAW is, in the simplest possible terms, is that it is a Bill of Rights for women to end all the years of equality. And the next question that I'm asked is, what's in it for me? And of course, you want to know that. Why would you want to support anything that has nothing to do with you? Why would you want to donate to something that will not benefit you or your family or help in some way? CEDAW has two things about it that make it different to just the equality laws. One, the first one is it's intersectional. Now that's a long word and it's a buzz phrase at the moment, intersectionality, but it means it covers all ages of women, girls and women, all ages are covered, and all diversities of women. So BAME women, disabled women, women of different sexual orientations, you just keep going, and it's everyone. And its intersectionality is that it covers those things. It covers everything that you would need. And the second point about it is that it recognizes discrimination in every aspect of life and the past discrimination done to women. And it attempts to right those wrongs from the past. And that is what makes it so different and so important. So it would cover, if you are in employment, it will cover employment law. And please, don't have any illusions about this. Women were the group that suffered most under austerity. 85% of the government's austerity measures, according to Philip Alston, the UN Special Rapporteur on Austerity, who I've worked with, 85% of measures adversely affected women. And it is going to be women who are going to find that they are most badly affected by the results of what happens after the furloughing. Later on in this autumn, it's going to be women that are going to be affected. It affects all aspects of women's health, women's education, women's economic and social welfare, and marriage and family life. You can see why I can't get through it all in one go. It covers political areas, political participation of women, and equality under the law. And I think we've said as a campaign group before that we don't use the law enough. And I can see why. Oh gosh, can I see why? Because using the law to get justice is expensive. You talk to any of those women who, well, obviously without backing from people like their unions, have tried to take on board discrimination cases for equal pay, for example. It's incredibly costly. Any time you use the law is costly. And this would address that. This would give a mechanism by which women could address these issues more easily without having to go themselves to law. But to get there, and this is the crucial point, we've got to have the tribunal first. And that itself is going to be expensive. And that is why we're relying on all the supporters out there to help us and to donate to our crowdfunder. Now, £75,000 seems a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money to everybody. But anyone who has had dealings with legal systems and know how costly they can be, and I've had lots of correspondence from women who have tried to do that and tried to take employers to court, know just how expensive it can be. We're trying to do this on behalf of all women. So I understand the situation. I understand that we have anxieties about the future because of COVID. We don't know whether our jobs are safe. because of COVID. But we know people, all of us know hundreds of people. Let's get the message out there to as many people as possible. If we could get it out to 75,000 people, which, given the number of supporters, that isn't a huge number to get it out to, at £1 each, we would be able to get this off the ground. And I've seen that, 1950s women who've had quite enough of waiting want to know how this is going to help them. When is it going to get done? Well, this will help all women because it gives a mechanism for the pensions, for example. It gives us a mechanism into dealing with what's happened with the 1950s pension. When will it happen? We want it to happen as soon as possible. But we cannot get started without the funding. We cannot commit ourselves to enormous legal bills without having some funding coming in. And we're relying on you to do that and to spread the word to as many people as possible, to get your employers involved, to get your partners involved. Why men can't help the women, and I don't quite understand, to get your unions involved, your MPs involved, to get everybody out there knowledgeable about how positive an impact this could have. And let's not hang around. Let's get it done. Do we really want to wait more time? I tell you, the 1950s women don't want to wait. And those young people who are facing unemployment and an unsure future, they certainly want their rights protected. It's intersectional. It's everybody. It's all parts of the age spectrum and every part of life. It is all of us. All women need protecting. And if you actually make the lives of women better, then studies across the whole world show that society is better if you actually help women in the first place. Those of you who know me know that I'm not very keen on Twitter and I don't do a lot of social media. But I saw a very good analogy in a cartoon on a Twitter post. And I apologize for not remembering the name of the person that posted it, but you will be able to find it. I assume it's come from a newspaper or somewhere. And it's an analogy, it's a cartoon, it's an analogy of a man and a woman running a race, just a short sprint, not a long race. And you can see the track ahead of them. And on the man's side, they're both at the starting point. On the man's side, the track ahead is clear to the finish line. On the woman's side, there are all sorts of obstacles. There are the landmines, there's a pond, there's barbed wire, there's a wall, there's obstacles. And more than that, on top of all of this, she has a ball and a chain around her foot. And the man looks at her and says, I'll just quote because I can't remember jokes, can't remember the line, it's not a joke. What's the matter? It's the same distance. Now, that, unless you understand about all the issues that women have to face during their lifetime, and unless you address those issues that women face by giving them a Bill of Rights, then women will never have true equality and always will have to put up with what they've had to put up with forever, and will always have to accept just what men are prepared to give them. I feel a little bit about this issue, about how I feel about climate change. I don't want my nieces, my nephews, my son, or any future grandchildren or relatives ever to say to me, why didn't you do anything about climate change? Why did you let the world go this way? And so I do my absolute best as a person trying to do something. And I feel the same about women and the injustices that keep happening to women of all ages and all types. And I feel I need to get justice for these women now. I need to do something to help millions of women in this country. Because if we don't do it now, when are we going to do it? We have to make that difference now. And we can only make that difference with your help. And by your help, we need you to help us by spreading the message far and wide and by getting as many people as you can to contribute whatever they can to the crowdfunder. It's a crowdfunder page. Just go to crowdfunder/Cedar People's Tribunal. There are links everywhere. And just let's not keep waiting. Let's try and get this off the ground as soon as possible. And let's get justice for women and make history together. Thank you ever so much for listening. I know you've got lots of questions. I have to tell you, I am not an expert in law or all aspects of CEDAW, but I do look at all the comments and the questions, and I have tried to bring them from the last hearing, time I spoke, to this, and I have tried to address it. I understand that there has to be something in it for you. As far as I'm concerned, CEDAW, a woman's Bill of Rights, has something for every single woman in this country, whatever age, whatever anything about her, whatever social class, whatever disability, whatever sexual orientation, whatever race, whatever anything. It will have a positive impact for everybody. And the reason that people don't want it or the government don't want it is completely beyond me. But it is something that other countries have, and we should have as well. Why should the women in this country not have the same rights that women in other countries have? And we need to get things changed for the better. If for our not for ourselves, for future generations. But let's speed it up a bit. Let's get that crowdfunder going. Let's get the money in so we can make a start as soon as possible and get on with addressing all these issues that we all know about, issues of discrimination that have gone on for far too long. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you even more for your support. And thank you for spreading the message far and wide. Let's get this done together. Thank you.